Hi, and welcome back to my crafty hen house. My name is Elaine, and today I'm going to do a part two of how to complete our towel dress. These little dresses are used primarily in the kitchen over the stove door handle, and they're tied on with a little satin ribbon on the side. You can embellish them, and I had put out a video about making a towel dress without this lace and the necklace. And this is a part two for Jan B. So Jan, I hope this information is helpful. We're going to complete the bottom of the towel dress. This was the top section of the towel dress that I had gone over in my part one. And today we're going to go ahead and attach the towel on the bottom. I'll show you how we put the ties to the side. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin with, you're going to need to complete your top of your towel dress, and that comes from my first video. I showed you explicitly how to make this, put it together, and how to create a pattern to make this little dress. You're also going to need a white towel. You can use any type of towel, the color, the thickness. You can see that this towel actually had a print on the front of it, and when you fold the towel so that you can show the design on the front of it, you have to be cautious of how you're going to do that unless you don't mind folding over it. But you can see this one was left flat in the front and then folded on the corners like a fan design, just so that it gave it a little flare. So this towel actually measures for 27 by 17, and this is a plain white hand towel. And we're going to take this towel and we're actually going to fold it right in half like this, and we're going to cut right across the top fold, and we're going to create two. So I'm going to redirect you to my flat surface here so that I can continue to show you how we're going to put this together. So let me turn you around. I'd also like to add that when you do your ties on the side, you can go ahead and you can trim them down once you have the size bow that you'd like to create. You can trim the tails down. You can cut them where they're short little ties or they're longer ties. It's strictly up to you. Anything works. It's whatever your taste is that you would like to see. You can even add two different ribbons on the side, which would be really cute. But there is our little towel dress all finished, the front and the back. You can put a red towel on here. You can put a printed towel on here. Anything that you decide to do would be adorable with these. So with a towel, what we're going to do again is fold the towel in half completely, and we're going to cut right along this top line. So we'll get our shears and go ahead and cut. If you feel more comfortable ironing the towel so that you get a nice seam, go ahead. But this is going to be tucked into the top of your towel dress, so you want to be good with your cutting, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So now you have two sections of your towel. Go ahead, and if you want to cut off these tags from the towel, and then you're going to take your dress topper And you have these pockets that we had created. The back fabric and the front fabric created a pocket. And this towel will go between this pocket. But first of all, we need to do something with these rough edges. So what I've done is on this opposite side, it's the same. And you're going to turn your fabric under. We're going to turn it inside the pocket about 1/4 of an inch. So go ahead and turn your fabric in, and so you have a nice edging. It's inside the little pocket, and then you have a nice finished edge. You can go ahead and iron this flat. So let's take the iron. We're just going to iron that down. If you feel more secure after it's ironed, go ahead and put a pin in either side. So we have our little pins, and go ahead and put a pin in this side that holds the fold over, and flip it over and do one on the back side. That's just keeping your fold in. Missed that one. Now go ahead and we're going to do the other side as well. Again, you have your raw edges, and you're just going to turn this in to itself. And you can turn it in as much as you want, but either side should stay turned in about the same size. And that's how we turned it in, about 1/4 of an inch. And make sure it's nice and straight. And then again, go ahead and we're going to iron that down. That's just going to keep those turns nice and secure. And you want to make sure that when you turn in, that this back side, they're even pockets. So if you need to push one in a little, or you need to roll the back one out, that they're about equal. And then go ahead and pin this one in place to keep that turn. And go ahead and pin this one in place. That's just going to keep your nice turn. So then when you turn your topper over, you're going to see that they're the same height when they're folded back together. You wouldn't want one to be like this. Make sure they're the same height. And now you're ready to apply your towel. Now, how you go ahead and do that is there's a number of ways. There's no imperfect way to do it. You're going to take your rough edge, which is the top that we cut, and you can simply fan it if you'd like. You can create a fan by going back and forth. But however you decide to fold your towel, you're going to end up folding it where it is the same width to go inside one pocket. The other towel will go on the opposite side. So let's decide how we're going to fold this. Now, because there's no design like we had in this towel, we don't have to fan the edges. You can ruffle it all the way across. You can make your own design. But what you want to do is the outside should stay flat. So what I like to do is I like to take mine and make pleats. So I would take my towel like this, and I'm on an ironing board, and I would put the edge at one side of the ironing board and the other edge at the other. And we're just going to make fans. And then go ahead, and we have to get to this size right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make another fan and move these in. And let's make another fan on this side and move those in. Now you have a towel that's folded that would fit inside this little pocket. And if you like how that design looks, then you can go ahead and we're going to pin it down so that it's easy to maneuver into this pocket, and then pin it down onto the, you're pinning right through the top. The towel will be in the pocket, and you'll pin through the back. So let's make sure that this is nice and even. So you have this back side, this end side is flat, and then you have a fan over here and another one folded over. Now this is flat, and you're folding opposite, you're folding outwards. So you have these fans are going this way, and these folds are, or fans are going the opposite direction. And so that is nice and even apart. This fold and this fold and this one are nicely even apart. It's going to fit into our pocket. It's the right size. It's not too narrow. It's not too wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the iron on it very quickly and press this down. By pressing that down, I'm setting those folds. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your pins, and let's go ahead and pin it. Now you don't want to pin too far to the edge because of course you're going to stick it in this pocket. So let's go down and pin it down a little bit lower. And you're going to have a number of little pins on here just to keep everything in place. And then you're going to want to do this side. Keep that in place, and then come down here and keep this one in place. And now you have your little fan towel. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take either side, it doesn't matter, and we're going to open up our little pocket. And you can remove these pins if you're comfortable that hold your fold in. And you can lift up your towel, and we're going to put it right inside the little pocket. Now you don't want it, you don't have to have it in the pocket deeply. I'm going to say this is about 1 inch in. You can do it less if you'd like, if you want to make sure that you catch it on the machine. So that, and you're going to remember how deep you have this in the pocket, this towel in the pocket, because the opposite side is going to have to be done the same way, the same depth inside this pocket. So we have our pins holding our pleats together. We have our towel pushed up in the pocket, the same on both sides. Now let's just go ahead and pin through the towel, the top pocket, to the back of the pocket. And we're going to pin a little bit higher because this is going to go underneath the sewing machine. Now if you like, you can also take these edges and you can turn them under at this point if you don't want to see that seam. So let's go ahead and do that and have a bit of a finished edge without that commercial seam. And it would go just like that, so that when you're looking at your towel, you're going to see nothing but this terry cloth. You're not going to see this finished commercial edge. So you can fold that over and then just make sure that you have it tucked back up into your towel dress, and then go ahead and pin it nice and secure. And you can remove these pins if you're comfortable. You don't have to. You can use additional pins to secure this top part. There you go. And then we're going to go ahead as well. I'll keep this pin here to show you how to secure your pleats. And you're going to remove this pin because we're going to fold in this factory edge. So we're just going to fold over the factory edge, tuck it into the corner nicely, and then go ahead and put our pin back. Don't worry if you don't have it completely tucked into the corner. The stitching will hold it in place nicely. But this is the time to make any adjustments. If your folds have come undone, you can always put your pins closer to the edge and then remove them as you're sewing. That's not a problem. Just take your time. So now this is how we've secured the bottom towel. And remembering your folds, because you're going to create the same exact fold on the other side. But once we get this sewn, we can use this as our template to create the other side. So let's go ahead. We're going to put this under the machine. I might add also at this time, there's so many different ways to attach the ties to the sides. And one of the easiest ways is to attach them at this point. So you're going to pick your little dress up and flip it over. This is the back side. And this little ribbon right here is 1/8. This is 1/8. This is the black. And this is a red, a nice, beautiful red. And either one would look stunning with this little towel. You could use the red or you can use the black. Today, I think I'm going to use the black. And you can take your ribbon. And I generally like to cut my ribbon, let's just go about 12 inches. We're going to cut a 12-inch piece of ribbon. And you can leave this long and then trim it down as you go. And this is for the ties. I would hate for you to put on ribbon that is too short, and then it wouldn't be able to tie nicely for you. So you can cut 2 pieces. Let me get the second piece. Now you don't have to use 1/8 inch. You can use thicker ribbon. I believe on this little dress, this is 1/4 inch. And this is 8 inch. You can see the difference. They're both really cute when they're on. And what I like to do is I like to stitch this onto the back. Now you can do this before or you can do this after. It doesn't matter. A lot of people might cut a little hole in the seam here and slide this through and sew it down. You could tuck it underneath and sew it when you sew across this pocket. What I like to do is after the towel dress is done, I'll just go back and attach them on the edges wherever I think that they might go. So let's go ahead and we're going to do it that way today. And I'm going to put this on the machine and show you how I sew this across the seam. So we're going to sew right across this seam, and I have it set back to about 1/4 inch with a straight stitch. You can use a zigzag stitch if you'd like. That's strictly up to you. And I'm going to back stitch a couple times, and just keeping in mind how much you turned over your rough edge when you turned it into this pocket. You want to make sure that you're sewing close enough to the towel that you're catching that little turnover area. So we're just going to take our pins off as we go along. I'm leaving the pins on the towel to secure the folds so that I can keep those nice and even. So this, and we just keep right on moving along. And just have to guide this through so that you're mindful. I also want to remind you that when you're putting your thread in your machine, that depending on the colors that you're using on the back and the front, that they very well could be different fabrics. So your top bobbin should be similar to the fabric that you're using on the top, and your back fabric, your bobbin should be similar to that fabric as well. Let me get this off. And so there we have it. We have the top section sewn down with the towel. We can now remove our pins that secured our folds in our top towel. And the edge is sewn in. And so that came out really, really cute. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and let me show you this back. This is the inside of the pocket. You want to go ahead and remove any little threads. And you can see, as I had mentioned, about making sure that your bobbin thread matched the back fabric. This fabric is the black, so you want to make sure your bobbin thread is the black. And then I used the white thread on the front, so it secured it in the pocket. But that's just a nice straight stitch right across. And then what you'll do is you'll finish off with your ribbons. But first of all, we need to add on the opposite side of the towel. And we're going to use this one as a template on how we did our folds. And we turned under and we had one fold and two folds. Then it was flat in the center. And then we turned on the outside and had one fold and two folds. I'm going to move that in. It flares at the bottom. And that's about what we need to create for the opposite side. So I like to take that template. It doesn't have to be perfectly matching, but you want to, you know, get it quite similar. And we're going to take our other half of our towel and go ahead and create the same type of template as we have here. So we'll turn under and we have one fold and two folds. Then we're going to have the flat section. This we know is going to be turned under. And we have one fold. And then another fold. And you're going to have to bring it in closer because it will pull open your other folds on this side. And just keep maneuvering it. It does not have to be a perfect match, but you do want it to be similar on both sides. That'll give it its fullness and its uniqueness. Now you can see this is pretty much replicates what we have over here. So I'm pretty happy with this, how it looks. We have turned under, one fold, two fold. This is turned under. This is one fold and two folds. This is a flat section. And, you know, another thing you can do, just dawned on me, that you can also take a ruler and you can measure this inside here of this main section. And this is about 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches, this section. You can make sure that this section is 3.5, and we're just about there, you know, from here to about here. So you can make these folds a little bit bigger and pull them in if you're very intent on making it identical, but you're not going to see both of them at the same time. So that's really not that important. But while we have this very similar to this, I'm going to go ahead and pin it so that we don't have to worry about having to go through that folding process again. So we'll just put the pins in here to secure the folds that we did create. down, keeping your pins lower so that you can actually tuck this up in. And you remember, you can kind of feel where the thickest part is that you tucked the towel in, so you know how much you went up. This one, it feels about, let's see, about an inch, inch and a quarter, which is a good depth for that to go in. It'll make it very secure. You can go over this once or you can go over this twice. It's completely up to you. If you have smaller stitches together, then you won't have to go over it so much. You can just do it once. I like the simplicity of one stitch. And these are more decorative. Yes, they can be used. They will go through the laundry, but they're not going to get, they're not going to be used roughly. So you can be a little bit easier with how much you have to run them through their stitching. So let's just flip our towel dress and go ahead and tuck what we just created into our pocket. And we're going to go about an inch and a quarter. You can feel how thick it is where the inch and a quarter lies. Let me get this up here a little. Making sure our folds are really nice, making sure it's even across. You don't want it to be cockeyed, and that it also goes from edge to edge of your little pocket. And now we can go ahead, because it's in the same depth on both sides, we can go ahead and we can take our pins and go through from all the way to the front, all the way to the back. And again, you're going to be removing your pins as you're sewing, so not to worry. If they're closer to the edge than you're comfortable with, you can remove them. So we're going to go all the way through, making sure that our turns stay under. You just kind of want to do this to hold everything in place when you're maneuvering it on the sewing machine. There we go. And I'm going to take this over to the machine and put it through, and I'll bring you right back. So here's our little dress that we finally added the bottom to. This is, we stitched it across this side as well as the opposite side. We folded our towels nicely and put them in the pocket. They're both in about an inch, inch and a quarter. And what I did is I went ahead and I added the side strings. And how that is done is you just put the dress underneath your machine, and you're going to take your little piece of satin ribbon and slide it through and just go back and forth across the top of the satin ribbon like 3 or 4 times. Just 3 stitches forward and then go backward 3 stitches, and do that like 3 or 4 times, and that will secure this little satin ribbon from going anywhere. They're mostly decorative so that the towel dress does not fall off your rail on your stove. And one final item that I like to use, these are little red bows, and they are made out of satin ribbon. They come in a number of different colors, and they usually come out during the Christmas season. And I got these at Walmart, and they're already pre-tied. They're so adorable, and they're just stuck on a double-sided piece of tape. But you can take these little bows and actually put them at the corners. You can do this on the front and on the back if you like. You can also take them and you can put them right at the neckline like that, which is really, really cute. You could put them across the front, any style that you would like to do. But I like the simplicity of these and putting them at the corners. There's also a number of really beautiful buttons that you can get nowadays. I have so many buttons, but you can also put little buttons on the front of your dress if you'd like to. You can put little rhinestones. You can put any little embellishments across here. On this little dress that my sister-in-law made, she actually used a little button in a shape of a Christmas tree. You can attach those to the front of this, or you can get candies in the shape of buttons. Here I have a basket of buttons that I always keep at our Joann Fabric. They have little teddy bears. You could put a teddy bear on there. Let's see what else. We have just so many. A little heart you could put on there. They have them in the same design as the candies. This is a little chihuahua. I mean, there's just so many beautiful little buttons. Here's a nice big button. And you could put smaller ones on the corners if you'd like, and give it a contrast. But there are just so many different buttons that they have available, and different designs, that anything would really, really just be so adorable. Thank you so much for joining me as we finished up making this little towel dress for your kitchen or for gifts. This is a wonderful little project to do. They make such nice, sweet additions to your kitchen, or like I said, give them as gifts during the holidays, and embellish them in your own character. Use whatever fabric you have and create something beautiful. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and hit that bell when you leave so that you can get notified of my next videos. And have a blessed day.